kill me.
I'm the martial arts film freak, and I watched Diablo.
Alicia! Run!
We both want to get Lisa back. I'll fight to the death for her.
Diablo is a 2025 film directed by Ernesto Diaz Espinosa and starring Scott Adkins, Marko Zaror, Alana de la Rosa, and Lucho Velasco, who, when you look him up on IMDb, his very first picture, his picture on IMDb is this. It's pretty funny. Diablo is about an ex-con who goes down to Colombia to kidnap the teenage daughter of a powerful gangster, unknowingly putting her in even more danger as she is the target of a psychotic killer who plans to use her for revenge. Weirdly enough, I was going to say that they gave Marko Zaror a Dick Cheney haircut, and it turns out Scott Adkins' name in this movie, his last name is Cheney, so that's just a weird coincidence, and I don't like it. Diablo has a solid cast of characters from Scott Adkins' Chris Cheney, Chris spelled with a K for some reason, all the way to Marko Zaror's killer, whose name is, I'm not sure, El Corvo, according to IMDb. This guy is essentially the Terminator with a Dick Cheney haircut. I've already said the Dick Cheney thing before, but I'm going to say it again here. Dick Cheney haircut. Diablo is extremely exposition heavy. This is a film that puts us right in the middle of a relationship between three characters, and we have to learn all about their backstory. And the film, I don't think, had time or money to shoot a bunch of flashbacks. So instead, we just get a lot of exposition. If someone's not fighting or running away from somebody, they're expositing. Throughout the course of the film, the relationship between Scott Adkins' Chris Cheney and Alana de la Rosa's Elisa evolves. It fluctuates. We get good times, bad times. They get along, they don't get along. And there are a few moments where it's pretty nice, a nice, tender, warm, heartfelt moment. But even those situations don't feel completely earned. Like 5 minutes ago, you were both cussing each other out. And now here, you're having a nice, warm embrace. I'm not sure if a lot of the heartfelt moments in this movie are completely earned. I appreciated the conflict between Scott Adkins, Chris Cheney, and Elisa. The conflict being that he is kidnapping her to rescue her from being raised by this gangster. But then she's saying, I like my life. I live a good life. Do you think I'm not aware of what this guy does? Yes, but he treats me well enough, and I'm living in a pretty sweet life. So Scott Adkins kind of has to have a bit of that conflict of like, well, I'd like to save you from this monster, but you're saying you live a pretty good life, so maybe I'll just drop you off because you're being a little brat. I mean, hell, who doesn't want to live with this guy? You know what I mean? One thing about this movie that deserves some credit is the camera work, especially one shot I noticed upon rewatching the fight scenes, and that is a drone shot. This final fight scene, this final big climactic battle, there's a hair on me, took place sort of in this big like factory setting. So at one point we get a drone shot from what's going on at this part of the factory all the way over to the fight scene way over there, and it just looks epic. So kudos to the guy flying the drone. That looked amazing. But of course, if you are watching a low-budget film starring Scott Adkins and Marko Zaror, well, you're probably not here for the heartfelt moments anyway, so let's go ahead and get into the action. It's great. Could there be slightly more of it? I mean, yeah, I could always have just a little bit more Scott Adkins and Marko Zaror. I like how the film sets up our two fighters in this, our hero and our villain, Scott and Marko. It has both of them have a fight against, just complete nobodies, just slaughtering them, destroying them. Scott Adkins isn't doing any slaughtering. He's trying to be a good guy. He's an ex-con and all that, but he has some people who get in his way and he has to take them down, and it's a solid fight. Marko, on the other hand, comes in, again, like I said, the Terminator. He walks into a room full of people, and it doesn't matter if they're running away or fighting against him. He is there to take out every single person in the room, and he does so in absolute brutality. Also, something you'll quickly realize about Marko Zaror in this film is he's rocking a full-on Mr. Han from Enter the Dragon. Yeah, he's rocking the full Mr. Han. And I love the way that that hand is utilized, because the whole time you just know if he hits you with this one, yeah, you're going to be pretty okay. But if he hits with this one, you're done for, because he hits a few people with this one and they are out instantly. It smashes their face, it KOs them, they go flying across the room. It's powerful and it's beautiful. I also love that first fight between Scott Adkins and Marko Zaror shows us that Marko Zaror's character, who from this point we've seen be the Terminator. He is just taking everybody out, walking in a straight line and killing whoever gets in his way. He seems undefeatable. But that first moment that Scott Adkins gets in a solid punch, we see that, oh, he's human. I don't mean that literally. I just mean like, okay, yeah, this guy, he can be defeated. However, while he can be hurt, while he can be punched in the face, he's definitely the guy with the strongest will, the guy with the most focus, the guy that is there to get the job done and is not going to stop until he does it. But it is fun to see that initial stumble upon getting punched in the nose. I appreciate Scott Adkins' character, Chris Chaney, in this film is kind of the underdog. When we first see him, he's pretty unstoppable. He's Scott Adkins. He's beating the crap out of every single henchman possible. Anybody who gets in his way, he can take him down. But then when he meets Marko Zaror in this film, Marko Zaror is that character who not only is a little bit stronger, but he has that resolve, he has that determination, he has that deep quest for vengeance that nothing's going to stop him from accomplishing. So that immediately puts Scott Adkins, on that lower tier. It makes him the underdog in the film, and I really appreciate that, because sometimes we get movies where, especially in your Michael Jai White stuff, Michael Jai White in his movies, I love the guy very much. He's very talented, he's very skilled, he could beat the shit out of me any day of the freaking month. But his movies can get really boring because nothing can stop him. He's unbeatable. Whereas Scott Adkins, I do appreciate in more of his movies that he tends to be the underdog most of the time. Even though, of course, he's Scott Adkins, he's a fucking monster, he's a badass. He's still the underdog, and I appreciate that. Diablo is gracious enough to give us two epic clashes between Scott Adkins and Marko Zaror within one film. Such a good time. But I think I prefer the first one just because they don't know each other. They're not familiar with what each other is capable of. They both come into the fight thinking they're the baddest guy in the room, when it turns out they're both just absolute monsters. However, one of them is a much scarier monster. The second fight, of course, is still amazing. It's Marko Zaror and Scott Adkins. I like that it puts them in a completely different location and they utilize the space very well. That first fight is in sort of like a pub and a bar, so they don't have a whole lot of room to work with. They're still going hard as hell. The second fight is much more of an open space, and they utilize a lot of that space. They're everywhere. They're throwing kicks. They're throwing haymakers, freaking crazy. It is an amazing fight scene. If I had to rank the fight scenes between Marko Zaror and Scott Adkins here among their previous films in Savage Dog and Undisputed 3, I'd probably say I'd put it in the middle there. I think it's better than Savage Dog, but that Undisputed 3 fight scene is, of course, just still an absolute classic. But Scott and Marko are still at the top of their game here. They are two peas of the same pod. They are two people who are two of the best in the industry today at what they do. So anytime they get to come together, it's never going to be a bad time. And that is the exact same situation here for Diablo. As an action fan, when you put on this movie, you are counting down the minutes until you get to see those two fight, and it is worth the wait. In the end, I'm going to give Diablo, directed by Ernesto Diaz Espinosa, let's give it a solid 3 3/4 out of 5. I had a good time with this. I don't think it's amazing. I don't think it's perfect, but it is a solid watch. It is definitely worth the rental. This is a movie you're going to have to rent. It's not streaming anywhere. It's not in theaters in a majority of cities you probably live in, but it is for rent just about everywhere you can go. I rented it on Apple this morning, and I had a good time, and I think you will too. So tell me what you thought of Diablo in the comment section down below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Head over to Facebook, where there's the Martial Arts Film Freak Facebook page, Instagram, Martial Arts Film Freak, Tristan_Glover on Blue Sky, and wherever else I need to say, Martial Arts Film Freak on TikTok. Did I say that one? I've lost track at this point. And when you're done with this video, don't forget to go over to Goodwill Podcasting, where I've been on the last 3 episodes talking about the Karate Kid franchise, Ballerina, and the John Wick films. So head over there if you want to see my thoughts on the last Karate Kid, because I know I didn't put up a review. I just figured there's a lot of other bigger YouTubers who have said a whole lot more than I can, because I just did not like it. I just didn't. And then, of course, my Ballerina thoughts are also over there on that podcast. I thought it was great, but you can hear why over there on the Goodwill Podcasting YouTube channel. But do all those things I just said, like, share, and subscribe, and all the following things that I've already said. Thank you so much for watching, and have a good day.